Good evening and welcome to the special presentations of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley on April 3rd, 2018. Our first presentation will be the presentation of the Cal Ed Award to the Council. Mayor Gutierrez?
So I would just like to say this is really an honor. So if I could have Rob, Michael, and Dr. Steinbach, if you could please join me. And Rob and Michael, they are board members of the Cal Ed organization, a statewide organization, and Dr. Steinbach is the college president for Moreno Valley College. So let's give them a round of applause for being here. So here in Moreno Valley, we always seek to build a brighter future and to find innovative ways to uplift and empower our residents. Recently, the city partnered with Moreno Valley College to sustain the Promise Initiative, which has helped over 500 first-generation college students complete their first year of college. This investment in our community's future earned the City of Moreno Valley and Moreno Valley College the prestigious Program of Excellence Award from the California Association for Local Economic Development, or CalEd, the state's leading economic development association. We also received one for the Hire Moval program as well, which is a program that we encourage businesses to hire Moreno Valley residents, and we provide those businesses with incentives and different tiers. So it's really an honor, you know, because, especially for me, because I know when I grew up, it's actually very personal. I had a struggle with finances as far as, you know, when I was going to college. And it was a barrier, and it was very stressful. So this is something that, especially at least with the Promise Initiative, that can really reduce that level of stress for the students and make them focus, you know, on their education. And that's what we want. So without further ado, I will go ahead and introduce, or would you like to go, Michael? Okay.
I'm very pleased to be here to represent CalEd, and would like to congratulate the City of Mo Valley for the Award of Excellence for the Promise Initiative Program. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm a little shorter, so I'll lower it. Good evening. My name is Rob Moreno, also a CalEd board member, and during my day job, I have the honor of serving as your economic development manager for the County of Riverside. I really want to congratulate the City of Moreno Valley and Moreno Valley College on investing in workforce development. Workforce development is economic development, and this program is tremendously impactful. So I'm very proud to be able to do this. It makes it a very special evening for us. We're a great partner with the City of Moreno Valley, so it's great to present this honor to the college, Moreno Valley College President, Dr. Steinbach.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Of course, yes. And then, Dr. Steinbach, would you like to say a few words, or no? Or you can.
It's such a great honor to live and work in a city that cares so much about its citizens, and to work with the city council and all of the employees really of the city that make a difference each and every day that you come to work. Together, we're all united in increasing the opportunities for the adults and young people in our city. And I thank you for your vision, and I thank you for your commitment. What you do matters. It makes a difference. Thank you.
And just one last thing, I want to also thank our city manager as well, Tom DeSantis. Also our finance, he's not here today, but Marshall, he did a really good job with the partnership. And then also Mike Lee, our economic development director, and then especially our council as well for being very supportive of these partnerships. Okay, thank you.
Let's give them another round of applause. We're really so honored. Thank you so much. Our next order of business is a business spotlight for Aaliyah Flowers. Councilman Cabrera?
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're recognizing Aaliyah Flowers, located in District 4. Aaliyah Flowers is a family-owned and operated business that prides themselves in the modern, unique, and welcoming atmosphere of their flower shop. Located at 16380 Paris Boulevard, customers can expect to walk into a spacious, open design with tables, stools, and fresh flowers. You can probably smell them from over there. It's really strong and fresh flowers in the vase. Owner Alma Valencia loves to give back to her community by providing a non-traditional approach to flower arrangements. They customize every order using fresh flowers and fun, spray-painted designs, glitter, and more. Aaliyah Flowers breaks the mold and provides unique, fun, and beautiful arrangements for any occasion. They are so creative, they formed the business name Aaliyah from combining the initials of the owner's immediate family, including her children and spouse. Today, we recognize Aaliyah Flowers with this Business Spotlight video.
At Aaliyah Flowers, we pride ourselves on giving our customers the most colorful and vibrant flowers in Moreno Valley. Our florist can make any occasion that special occasion, whether it's a birthday, anniversary, or just because. We can create a custom arrangement for that special someone in your life. From fresh flowers to stunning arrangements, Aaliyah Flowers has everything you need to brighten your day. Aaliyah Flowers. We are located at 16380 Paris Boulevard in Moreno Valley.
And representing the business tonight is the owner, Miss Alma Valencia. If you can please join me here at the mic.
Thank you so
again
much.
for coming out. And it is my pleasure to present to you this Business Spotlight certificate on behalf of the City Council and the City of Moreno Valley, as well as the flash drive that has the video for you to share on online, on YouTube, on all social media platforms. So that is yours to keep. You can go ahead and frame that in the shop or put it at home. And would you like to say a couple of words?
Actually, I will. Hi, everybody. My name is Alma Rosa Valencia. As you know, I'm a minority, and I live and I work in Moreno Valley. The reason why I started my business was because I always say this. Remember when the Pokemon thing was going on, when all the kids were going crazy? They were actually going to the park, doing things, getting out of the house? Well, my son graduated, I believe it was in 1990. I'm sorry, that was me. 2016, I think that's when it hit. Anyhow, he had applied to a bunch of places to go looking for work. It was during the summer, and nobody was hiring him. I mean, he didn't have an experience. I mean, he is good looking, but that doesn't get the job done anyhow. So we're walking because he's trying to catch Pokemons, and I'm like, Eddie, or I call him Junior actually, you know what, I've been talking to you guys about opening a business. He goes, yeah, he's over there catching Pokemons. He's like, Mom, and excuse my language, he said, why don't you just shut up and do it? Straight out, shut up and do it. And instead of me saying, don't say that to me, I was like, you're right. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So it was around June. I opened my business in November to help them because, like I said, I don't want them out in the streets getting into trouble, which they never have, but I wanted to keep them busy while they still continue to go to school. So that's the reason why I opened Aaliyah Flowers. That was the scenario, and I thank my son for saying that to me every time I go into my shop because I feel like it's really beautiful. I love it. But anyhow, thank you for recognizing me in such a short amount of time. And I appreciate it, and I hope this commercial actually brings me business because it's expensive to actually promote. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank everybody for being here. Oh, okay. you.
And I also want to thank Ms. Valencia. Additionally, like I mentioned, the vase, the flower vase back there, I ordered it an hour ago. They got it ready within 20 minutes because I want to give it to my mother who's back in the crowd. So, yeah, thank you again. If we can give her another round of applause, please.
Hey, the next business is Papa Joe's. Is Mr. Naeem here? Oh, come on up.
I've been moving out of my house. Yes. No, he's over there drinking or partying. He's celebrating.
Okay, that's better. Thank you so much. Well, Papa Joe's Pizza Sports Bar is a family-oriented restaurant that prides themselves on fresh, homemade food. Owner Joe Naeem gained his name and branding for his business from his niece, who began calling him Papa Joe as a young child. Located at 12220 Pigeon Pass Road, Papa Joe's offers a spacious location with a live entertainment stage, over 10 televisions, pool tables, darts, and a banquet hall that is available. Papa Joe will soon celebrate 30 years in the kitchen, perfecting his homemade pizza dough and secret marinara sauce. He is a longtime resident of Moreno Valley that enjoys being a part of the growth and development of his community. Today, we recognize Papa Joe's Pizza with Business Spotlight video.
You've been to other sports bars, but are you ready for the most est sports bar in Moreno Valley? At Papa Joe's, we serve the best food. We use the freshest ingredients that are prepared daily. With our full bar, we have the coldest beer and the happiest hour in town. We're also the greatest place to watch sports. We have over 10 TVs and there's never a cover charge for special events. Plus, our party pizza is the biggest pizza in town. Papa Joe's Sports Bar, the most est place in town.
Wonderful. And I want to admit that I eat there often. It's right close to my house, and the pizza is fabulous. So here's the certificate for Papa Joe, and here's the drive, the flash drive with the video, and he can put it on his Facebook and Instagram. I know he's all over the place on social media.
He likes social media.
Okay, so thank you. We're gonna take some pictures. Okay, let's give Papa Joe's another round of applause. Okay, the next order of business is a proclamation for Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week. Steve, are you in the room? There he is. You want to bring up your staff? Come on up. I know I saw some of your staff here. What's that? Bring them. Yeah. Well, I better not tell you what I have at home. Just a few people. Yeah. Get all the way over here too. Yeah. See the screen? You have to be in the picture. Come on. No excuses. You know you're going to be here. Can you see yourself on the screen? You need to move down. This way. Yes, yes.
Too many of us.
There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce our Animal Services Department. I'm overwhelmed. This is great. These are the people that are protecting our puppies and our kittens and fill our homes with joy. So tonight, we would like to take a few moments to recognize the great contributions that our Animal Services Division makes to the well-being of our overall community. Our animal care and control staff work tirelessly, and I mean that, to ensure that the animals of our city are treated humanely and that the people of our city have the tools to maximize safe and positive interactions with animals. Animal Services Division staff also exceed expectations to find forever, F-U-R, forever homes for pets. In 2017 alone, their efforts brought about positive outcomes for 4,469 animals. It takes a very caring person to show the continued dedication that our animal services staff have shown and continue to show. Therefore, the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley is honored to present the proclamation. Okay, and some of what the proclamation has is, whereas the Moreno Valley Animal Service Division increases the livability of the city by enhancing public safety, returning lost pets to their families, placing homeless animals in loving, lifelong homes, enforcing animal control laws, and rescuing, comforting, and caring for injured, sick, and or abused animals. And whereas efforts from the Animal Service Division, such as special adoption events, the trap, neuter, and release feral and community cat program, low-cost rabies vaccination clinics, and collaboration with local volunteers facilitate positive outcomes for 4,469 animals in 2017. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley hereby proclaims April 8th through the 14th, 2018 as National Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week, and encourages all citizens to recommit to the animals in our community by engaging in responsible pet ownership and supporting the efforts to protect the well-being of the animals in our city. And here to accept the proclamation is Animal Service Division Manager Steve Fries. Steve, would you care to say some words?
Sure.
Come forward.
Thank you. Oh no, I got to get it. Here we go. Fell down in my pocket. There it is. There we go. Thank you very much for that presentation, Mayor Pro Tem Baca. A quick presentation to everybody just to give you an idea of the efforts that the folks behind me, and not all of our colleagues are here this evening because some of them are still at work at the animal shelter and out in the field, but we have about half of our staff here tonight, so it's a good showing of our staff and how committed they are to the work that we do. One of the important things that I wanted to point out this evening is that last year we had a live release rate of 91% for dogs, which is amazing when we compare that to 5 years ago when it was only about 44%. So we've made continuous strides every year to make that number come up. Same thing with our live release rate for cats, and almost 4,500 pets last year had positive outcomes. Again, an amazing number for the pets that are placed in the care of these folks behind me. I don't know which puppy to take home. I decided I would probably take them both home if I had a choice. Our officers, our animal control officers, we have 6 of them that serve the city. They responded to over 15,000 calls last year. So that's 6 folks that respond in a 52 square mile area that serve a public of about 210,000 residents. So they do a great job. They also work at night after hours on call for priority calls. 12,000 residences were canvassed, and I think we have our animal license canvasser here tonight. That's a lot of homes to go to. Denise Cooper, she stays very busy. 21 special adoption events. We have another one that's coming up this Saturday, the Canine, the Fido's Challenge, Fitness Challenge, where dogs will be $30, and that's for everything, spay, neuter, and everything. So we're looking forward to that event coming up. But we'll do another 23 events this year as well. We just got a call from Caldwell Banker Realty. They want us to come out in October. We're going to be there for that. 5 low-cost vaccination clinics, $10 for a microchip. What a deal. You can't go anywhere and buy a microchip for $10, and we offer that at all of our low-cost rabies vaccination microchip clinics. We've got one coming up again on Saturday, April 14th. Come and get your dog chipped and then go to the Safety Expo. It'll be a great event as well. 500 feral cats were saved last year in 2017. Since inception of that program, which we started in October of 2015, I just checked the number tonight, 1,201 cats have been saved since that program was initiated. That's a lot of cats when you think about it. Otherwise, those cats would have been euthanized, and so we were able to save those, and that's why we have such a high release rate for our cats. Special needs, I've got to point this out because we have a person in here that started with the city many years ago and was promoted as animal rescue coordinator, Margaret Lene, and she reaches out to the rescue folks, and she placed over 300 animals that were in need. And these are animals that would not be adopted. These are animals that are hit by a car. These are animals that suffer irremediably from illness and injury, and she does a great job of reaching out to get those animals placed. 312 is a lot of animals that are ones that would normally not be adopted, and they go out to our rescue partners. Programs such as our spay-neuter voucher, we've got one that's coming up in order to help celebrate the week, National Animal Care and Control Week. We're actually going to provide free spay-neuter certificates, vouchers, to the first 200 dogs and cats, or residents that own those cats in the community. We'll start handing out those vouchers on April 10th. So there should be a press release coming out very soon on that. So this is just a little sneak peek on that. TNR program has been very successful. Adoption ambassadors is kind of tied in with our volunteer opportunities, and folks that are volunteers and want to work with helping animals get homes, they can take those pets home and work with them and try to find them homes on their own. And so that's a program that we have through the ASPCA. In addition, our foster adopt program has been very successful, especially for our underage kittens and puppies, where a shelter environment is not the best environment for them to thrive in. So we want to put those in homes, and eventually those folks that take care of those animals can adopt them. Also, Whisker Wednesdays, one of our animal control officers who's not here tonight came up with that theme. I had $5 Fridays about 2 years ago and did it for about 2 years, and I stole it from one of the local restaurants, $5 footlongs, if anybody knows what that is. So we went to Whisker Wednesdays. It's got a little bit better kick to it, and it sounds like it's more cat-oriented. $5. We're starting that in May. It'll run May, June, July, August, and September. Every Wednesday on those months, you can adopt a cat for $5. And that includes the spay, neuter, microchip, vaccination, everything. So it's a great deal. Professional pet photos, again, part of our volunteer opportunities. Our Volunteer of the Year for 2016 was Kelly Vila. We looked at her numbers for 2017 and we were amazed. She photographed 694 pets. 690 of those pets had a positive outcome. They either were adopted to a family or went to a rescue group or were reclaimed by their owner. 99.4% rate. When I saw her the other day, I said, why couldn't we get 99.6? Come on, we're almost there. So again, that's another program that we do at the shelter, and it's a special program, and I had to point that out. I think it's real important for people to know that we do have people in the community that come out, and they put a lot of effort into what our folks do day in and day out, and it helps supplement and help us help the pets in this community. So again, we appreciate the recognition. I know the staff does. I certainly do, and we greatly appreciate the support that we get from city manager's office, the executives here in the city, and of course the mayor and the council and Mayor Pro Tem Baca, because they're behind us and they show support and they give us that drive to continue to work hard. And we're not done yet. We still got more work to do, so we're just going to even do better. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. And from the council and the city staff and the residents, we just want to say thank you so much for everything you do for our pets. We love them. And this proclamation is just a token of our appreciation. You just do so much, and this is what we can do. But I want to say that we have an award-winning team behind you, and you have the council and administration here to do anything to make things better. But you're doing a great job. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a picture.
Oh,
Of the
okay.
proclamation.
Okay, want to do that now?
Yeah.
Picture?
Put this down.
Just don't cover up the face.
You know that way. That's okay. Yeah. Just want to thank you for everything. Thank you. Thanks so very much. Thank you very much. Ashley, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Glad you're here. Great. Thank you.
Let's give our animal services another round of applause. And one more thing I forgot to say. Don't buy, adopt. Don't forget that. So that concludes our special presentations, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Gutierrez.
Okay, so Steve, do you need like a minute to switch over, or? Okay, so we're gonna just take a minute just so that we can switch over, but then we're gonna start right away. 4, 3. Hi there, good evening, and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley Community Services District, City as Successor Agency for the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Moreno Valley Housing Authority, and the Board of Library Trustees. The City Council receives a separate stipend for CSD meetings. I now call this meeting to order on April 3rd, 2018 at about 6:06 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Frank Wright. Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by Senior Pastor John Millhouse from Calvary Chapel of Moreno Valley.
Everyone face the flag and repeat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you pray with me? Father, as I look upon the city seal and I see "In God We Trust" above it, oh, how we need your wisdom. Oh, how we need to trust you. I pray for these, our mayor pro tem, our city council. Give them wisdom from above. Cause them to have an agenda that would be the best for our city, the best for the people of our city. We thank you so much for the privilege of serving you. We ask your blessing upon this meeting. And I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor John Millhouse from Calvary Chapel, Moreno Valley. Thank you so much. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Gaiba?
I'm here.
Councilmember Marquez?
Here.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Here.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Here. Staff introductions, please.
Pat Hackes-Nares, City Clerk.
Marshall Ironman, Chief Financial Officer, City Treasurer.
Martin Kazanowicz, City Attorney.
Tom DeSantis, City Manager.
Alan Brock, Assistant City Manager.
Mike Lee, Economic Development Director.
Rick Sandsmer, Acting Community Development Director.
David Kurlowitz, Chief of Police.
Abdul Ahmed, Fire Chief.
Patty Solano, Deputy Director, Parks and Community Services.
Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works, City Engineer.
Thank you, staff. Before we start with public comments, I just want to remind everyone that we do have our Spanish translation services right in the back. Also, before we hear public comments this evening, I ask and encourage everyone to keep their comments respectful towards each other, especially to the individuals that are at the podium. Also, I ask that your comments are limited to 3 minutes for each speaker, and that you refrain from duplicating comments already made by others, other than to note that you agree with the comment. Public comments on matters on the agenda will be taken up as each item is called, business item is called. Those speaking, wishing to speak should complete and submit a blue speaker slip to the bailiff. There's a 3-minute time limit per person. All remarks and questions shall be addressed to the presiding officer or to the city council. The city clerk will call 3 names at a time. If you could please line up when your name is called. Please move to the front of the room and line up, and then your name, and then once you're called, then you'll go to the podium. In order to preserve the meeting decorum, I will ask the council members and staff to wait until the end to comment on any comments from the public. So, Madam, before we go to the speaker requests, there has been a request by staff to pull item A3, which is the city clerk contract. So we're going to pull that to another meeting. Madam Clerk, any speakers? How many? And then.
We have 5 so far.
Okay.
Daryl Terrell, Martin Cabrera Jr., Carolyn Berger.
Hi, my name is Daryl Terrell. 50 years ago tonight, on the eve of Dr. King's death, he gave a sermon in Memphis about what the movement there meant to him in America. He'd been there to see students stand up for freedom by sitting in at lunch counters. He'd been there in Memphis when it was dark, enough to see the stars, to see a community coming together around a common purpose. Dr. King had been to the mountaintop, but he never got to see the promised land. But he knew that we together would get there because he had seen that our people have the capacity, as he said that night, to recognize that we all have a stake in one another, that what binds us together is greater than what drives us apart, that we're all in this together, that we rise and fall together as one people in one community. But 50 years later, the great need of this hour is much the same as it was when Dr. King delivered his sermon in Memphis. But Dr. King taught us that an individual has not started living until we can rise above our narrow confines of our individualistic concerns to a broader concern of humanity. That inspired him to stand up and force this entire country to wake up and look at itself and to eventually change. It led him to see his charge not only to freeing Black America from the shackles of discrimination, but also freeing many Americans from their own prejudice and freeing Americans of every color from the devastation of poverty. That's what brought him to Memphis and standing up for the struggling sanitation workers who said, I am a man, that you should treat me with respect. It was that struggle for economic justice, for the opportunity that should be available to people of all races in all walks of life. That's why we have a duty to fight poverty in this community. Even if we are well off, that means not leaving no resident, no neighborhood behind. That's what Dr. King did. In his short life, his passionate voice awakened the nation's conscience, inspired people all over the world that we can be inspired. We can be courageous, too, in giving you, our residents in this community, a reason to hope again of a brighter tomorrow. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Martin Cabrera Jr., Carolyn Berger, Rafael Burgueras, please line up. Thank you.
Good evening, citizens of Moreno Valley. Walk with me with what I'm about to say, and listen up, because I have a vision for the health of our city, a proposition that involves raising the taxes on sugar-sweetened beverages, mainly soft drinks, also known as sodas. The reason why this is important is because, one, it's been proven in 4 other cities to lower consumption of soda and raise consumption of water. 2, it provides funding source for public health and measures to fight obesity and chronic disease to improve health of our communities. 3, achievement gap due to childhood obesity and food-related illnesses that drives poor school performance, resulting in diminished global economic competitiveness. 4, escalating federal debt due mostly to the fiscal burden of chronic disease on Medicaid and Medicare. How many of us are addicted to soda? How many? Instead of having AA meetings, we should be having SA meetings, Sodaholics Anonymous. And it's not our fault. We are addicted to soda. These food giants have taste institutes where they hire craving experts to identify bliss points of food, to create heavy users. Does that sound familiar? And on top of that, Pepsi executives say how excited they are that they have learned how to grow and harvest human taste buds in labs. I don't know if that surprises you guys, but that's scary. And that gives them more ability to make more sugar-sweetened and easier ways of getting us addicted to this stuff. And on top of that, the 2015 USDA guidelines recommends that less than 10% of our calories come from sugar, while the same USDA SNAP program spends $7 billion a year on soda, the #1 food item by those on SNAP. And on top of that, just to add on to more, during the 2016 elections, the American Beverage Association and soda companies spent more than $30 million fighting taxes on sugar-sweetened beverages. The only reason why the taxes were raised on those 4 other cities was because Michael Bloomberg and the Arnold Foundation put $20 million of their own money, and only 4 cities in all of America and all of the United States this passed. That is embarrassing. And not just that, the government, they subsidize the crops. They have crop insurance. So they make it cheaper for these companies to buy this corn. That gets us addicted. High fructose corn syrup. Look it up. And that's scary. Our kids are drinking this stuff. They target the children. They have all these celebrity endorsements, and that raises up their production and their buying. Thank you very much, and you guys have a good night.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Followed by Rafael Burgueras and Roy Bleckert.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Berger. I went to the recent meeting for zones 1 and 2. I live in, I believe, zone 1, and I believe I'm in district 2. And I just want to say it was great. I think the police department did such an amazing job. I lived in Riverside for almost 17 years, and I never went to a meeting where the police chief himself was willing to take live questions of people. And I think that's incredible. I've done a lot of research on police departments and the effect of leadership in police departments and other things. And when the police chief is a good example to the police officers, that is very impactful. It sets the organizational climate in which, and I don't normally have like notes that I read off of, but I'm trying to be impromptu too. But and you could see from the way the police chief spoke to the people, to us, that he was humble, that he was funny, and just that he was very brave in being able to take impromptu questions from people. Some questions were really vague, and there was obviously no response that he could make to answer those questions. But he made a response, and I thought that he treated everyone with dignity and respect and showed everyone that their opinions mattered. And he represented the police department very well, and so did Deputy Brooks. He is very down to earth. He is really funny. And it was just excellent. Thank you for hiring this police chief. And thank you for our police department. So have a good day.
Thank you, Carolyn, for the kind words.
Rafael Burgueras, followed by Roy Bleckert.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, residents, and our guests. A reminder to the residents of Moreno Valley that this Saturday and Sunday we're going to be hosting the 100th anniversary of our air show. It's going to be a fabulous weekend. It's going to be a nice weekend. So please come out and enjoy yourselves, but also have patience, because as we host this every year, there's traffic. So we have to have patience in our city and allow our guests to enjoy themselves while they're here and to see all the new things that Moreno Valley has done throughout the year. I consider Moreno Valley a new Moreno Valley because it has grown. And I was privileged to see Brian get his presentation 2 weeks ago and to be reminded of all the things that occurred since 2013. So I call Moreno Valley the new Moreno Valley because it has grown to make people's lives a lot better and able to find jobs and do things. That's what I love about our city. The next thing I'm grateful for is the vets. The vets, they have their new place. They're living comfortable. I love the picture of the man smiling under his favorite superhero, who happens to be Superman. And he shows himself in the mirror. And then he shows himself sitting down in his nice little studio apartment watching TV, living the life that he gave us when he served in Vietnam. That's what we do as Americans. We give back. Moreno Valley does that. At the GPA, we give back. We give back to our veterans, and we give back to our city. This is what I love about my city and my state. I love when I'm in the street and I hear the sirens. I love when people pull to the right. That deep respect for law and order. I love it. I just saw it today coming here. It just gives me the same thrills that it gave me in 1979 when I first came out here. Everybody pulls over to the right. I just love that respect. My next one is the hospital. Riverside University, the $114 million. They finally started building it. We're going to have another branch, another building right next to the other one. Was going to house 439 beds, trauma department. So we're going to be able to do a lot of things in Moreno Valley. Moreno Valley is growing, people. Dreams are coming true. Most of all, people that have prayed many, many years ago has come to pass. Moreno Valley is here to stay and is here to grow.
Thank you, Rafael.
Roy Bleckert.
Good evening, Roy.
Good evening. It's time we make our city safe. Not only that, our state and our country. There was nothing more, and I thought it was an April Fool's joke when I woke up on Sunday, but Governor Moonbeam pardoned 5 illegal alien criminals. That's absolutely cannot stand. Moreno Valley should join with Huntington Beach, Orange County, and the growing number of cities and counties that are passing resolutions, ordinances, and suing the state of California, and we should opt out of SB 54. There is no way we should be harboring criminals or doing anything of the sort, and we should be doing everything to ensure public safety in the city. And I will give props to both of our chiefs and all of our public safety personnel. They're doing the best that they can, but they need the tools to do it. They need the tools and the ordinances and stuff for vagrancy or loitering or whatever I was hearing at the public safety meeting that they need to clean this city up. It's a bottom line, because if you don't have a safe city, if you don't have a community, you will not have a high quality of life. Article 13, Section 35 of the state constitution says your number one priority is public safety, and you start it. This council has cut public safety personnel in the last budget. They have cut officer hours on the ground. I will say that, and I will let's debate it in an open forum, because I put the statistics out here and they have not been disputed. So let's be honest about it. And you know, public safety, the costs are going up. We've got some very bad choices that we're going to have to make if we don't pick up the economy in here. And that's the second part of that article, Section 35, is public safety is for the betterment of the economy, because who wants to do business, or who wants to live in a unsafe city? And I agree with Raphael. If we're going to be proud of this city, it's got to be a safe city. And I agree with the other speaker. We need to support our public safety personnel at every spot, and we need to do that all around the line of what we're doing. Just like you need to join with Huntington Beach and stop spending our money, taxpayer money, whatever information on taxes that were not dedicated to public safety that could have been. That's another thing that needs to be passed in this city. Bottom line, first, number one priority, support our police and fire and public safety personnel, chiefs, do everything we can to make it a safe city. Then we can work on the rest of it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
No more speakers.
Okay, I'll close the comments there. Would any council members like to make their reports or comments at this time? Okay, seeing that the speaker request isn't pressed, we'll move forward. We're now going to move on to our joint consent calendar, sections A through D. On the agenda, these items are considered A, B, C, and D to be routine and non-controversial and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the City Council, CSD, City Successor Agency, or the Community Redevelopment Agency, Housing Authority, or the Board of Library Trustee requests that an item be removed for separate action. The motion to adopt the consent calendar is deemed to be a separate motion by each agency and shall be recorded by the City Clerk. Items withdrawn for report or discussion will be heard after public hearing items. So if there's any, let me see. Okay, Councilmember Gaiba, which item?
Thank you. Pull A10 to separate discussion, separate vote.
So A10 separate vote?
Please.
Okay. Councilmember Cabrera?
A8 for just a brief report.
All right, we'll go with A8 first, brief report. Let's see. Okay, we will have a report of the police department.
Good evening.
Yeah, go ahead.
My first time, be gentle. The
you want Tom or?
Yeah, so this is the my first time reporting on something like this, so let me see if I can be brief. The police department is working with city staff in funding the Mailbox camera program to combat mail theft here in the city. We have identified funding sources through asset forfeiture to make this program a reality. We've identified a few target areas throughout the city to purchase cameras for the actual mailboxes, and we've also identified areas for future expansion of this program. That's basically the summary of it. I've also worked closely with financial staff and the financial analyst if you have further questions or need further details.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, if I could just add a couple things
Thank you,
we're
Chief.
particularly
grateful for. First, we're grateful for the council's leadership in this. Cities all over the region are experiencing mail theft. Only in Moreno Valley has our city council gotten so involved to the extent where you have met with postal officials personally. You have challenged staff to be creative in coming up with some ways to help our residents. And so this particular program, we appreciate Chief Kurlowitz's willingness to recommend to you use of asset forfeiture money to buy these cameras. And so this is a very exciting program. The other key component is residents. We're reaching out to residents who are willing to allow us to put cameras on their homes that will help us deter and address mail theft in their neighborhoods. So it's an innovative program. I thank the council for challenging us to come up with something, and we're real excited to put this in motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Kurlowitz and Tom as well. I appreciate you, bringing this forth, and it's something that we've been discussing and asking for a while, and like you said, to address the mailbox theft issue all around Southern California, and we're doing something about it here. So just want to thank you for that.
All right. We'll go to public comments on consent items other than separate action. No, there's public comments first for the consent.
We have two speakers, Rafael Burgueras and Roy Bleckert.
Okay.
Good evening again, Mayor, council members, staff, residents, and guests. One of my favorite times of the evening is the consent calendar. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Like A4, we just hired 2 more new people, Courtney, Jenny, and then we promoted 2 within, Javier and Rudy, okay? And that's a beautiful thing when we can hire and promote within. So that means the city is doing something great. Marsha's not here, but I like A5, transparency, okay? If people ever want to know where their money is being spent, they can go to page 26, that's the beginning, and look at all the money that was spent in a month. And I'm just glad that's not my statement that I get every month, okay? Because I couldn't do it. Now, I am grateful for the men and women that live in the city that contribute. Regardless what you do and whatever you contribute, it pays our bills. This is why we're in the black in Moreno Valley. That's why we're the 3rd in this nation of owing nobody nothing, because we all stay together in this city. We contribute. Number 6. Oh, nope. Number 7. I like number 7. And it's got to do with the cameras, I believe. And, oh no.
The 7's the streets.
Yep.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. It's 8. 8. You know what? We've been fighting this for a long time. Finally, we came up with something, and nothing's free, Moreno Valley. But what I try to do when I go to the Planning Commission, and we have brand new developers that want to build houses in our community, our communities, what I like to see done is for them to put up the cameras. Because like this, they can put up the wires and the poles. Everything's being built from the ground up. That's the good thing, if we can do things from the ground up. They can contribute. I know, if we can get big companies like Highland Fairview to put up fire departments and do a lot of more libraries and a lot of other things, we can do things with developers that come into our city to build houses. It's less expensive if we do it from the ground up. And that's important. And then I'll say 10 for a little later since it's going to come back. Moreno Valley, we're growing. We're not afraid anymore to fight back for the right things. So everyone in this city can be safe, live a happy life, and enjoy living. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Roy?
It was on A10. Do you want me to address it now or when it comes up?
Just wait for We're gonna in a moment. Okay, any more, Madam Clerk?
No more speakers.
Thank you, Roy. All right, I'll entertain a motion by council to approve excluding
Second.
item 810, which is motion by Councilmember Gaiba, second by Mayor Pro Tem Baca. Okay, please vote.
Okay. Ready.
Okay, it's approved 5-0, and we will go with, there's no public hearing items, so we're gonna go straight to 810. And I believe that will be report of planning. Just need to check. And yes, well, report of community development. Rick? If you could just do a brief report?
Absolutely. The item before you is a second reading for a ordinance that was before the council on March 20th. It's the land use regulations related to cannabis activities. On March 20th, the council voted in favor 4-1 to pass this ordinance. This is the required second reading. Your action this evening would adopt the ordinance, and the ordinance would become effective 30 days later. Well, I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna go to council questions of staff. Councilmember Gaiba?
Thank you. I think all my questions will be for Martin. Been doing some research, and people have been giving me feedback and information from the community on their concerns as well. So I'll just ask you a few questions, see if you can clear them up, because I'm not real bright about legal matters and that such. So let's start with, as best I can here for you. Are you familiar with Rule 3-210? Ethics Rule 3-210? And if you are, could you explain that to me?
I do not have the ethics rules memorized, Councilmember Gaiba, so
I wouldn't think you would. May I read what I've got here and see if it sounds about right?
Okay, well, what's your question?
My question is, I want to know what that one means. Because it says here, Ethics Rule 310 says advising the violation of law. That's the statute chamber of the ethics rule. A member shall not advise the violation of any law, rule, or ruling of a tribunal unless a member believes in good faith that such law, rule, or ruling is invalid. A member may take appropriate steps in good faith to test the validity of the law, rule, or rulings. How about Ethics Rule 310? You can put that down in the record if you wouldn't mind. I'll read them to you later in deliberations. Ethics Rule 5-220, suppression of evidence. That one reads, this is just what I have. A member shall not suppress evidence that the member of the member's client has a legal obligation to reveal or to produce. This one should be easier. Can you explain to us what the rule of, I'll put the right words here, the supremacy clause and the doctrine of preemption? That one I think you could probably explain to us.
Well, briefly, supremacy clause and doctrine of preemption deal with the relationship between federal and state law. And Councilmember, I know where you're heading with this, and we've spoken to the council on this issue. Yes, there is a conflict between the federal law and the state law. State law provides for, by the vote of the people, recreational and medicinal marijuana to be legal in the state of California, subject to certain conditions. Under federal law, it is still listed as a Schedule I drug. The conflict exists. State law controls what we do in a state, and all of the ordinances that have been adopted recognize the conflict between the two laws, and at this point in time, at least, federal government is not taking any steps to enforce any of its federal laws.
Well, I'll leave that for my deliberations, but that's not quite the answer that I have researched out. So those are the questions I wanted to get public before I do my own deliberations for you on that topic. And then I'll read what I have, and That's the best I can do to put myself in the position where I need to put it. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, public comments. We have Roy.
And Rafael Burgueras.
Okay.
It's never over before it's over, but my question on it is, and I asked it at the last meeting on this, and it didn't make any sense to me why industrial property was not included in the land ordinance for these uses, since it's a more intense usage. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me in some of these things where you're using property that's zoned for a less intense usage and you're not allowing it in a property that's more intense usage. So the other point I would make out is we do, and hopefully it's coming sooner than later, scheduled for a general plan amendment. So it might be that we, and it probably will be, that we will retool, reshape the overall plan of the city so these businesses could be restricted, expanded, stay the same. Who knows? But we have that in the works. I think all these things need to be put into consideration. But if we're moving in this direction, I would think we would include, straight industrial properties in the ordinance where they would be able to be used for those type of businesses if they were put in.
Thank you. Rafael?
Followed by Hansel Urbina.
Good evening once again, Mayor, council members, staff, residents, and guests. Gabi was right. There are two laws. There's the state of California and there's a federal law. And our city attorney was right. There are two laws. There is a conflict of interest. There is. But the difference is that the state of California allow us to vote on it. And we voted yes. I voted no, but a lot of people voted yes. And if I had a second chance, I will vote yes, because I have a clear understanding of the rules and the regulations or what Moreno Valley is doing. I keep telling people, go to the website and pick it out for yourself. Page 164 through 190 are the rules and the law for Moreno Valley. They will protect us and will protect the vendors. This is what the staff has been doing for the last several months. Yes, the federal can come down and shut it. They know it. It's a risk. But at least we voted in this state for what we want, and it passed. And that's what the people wanted. So tonight is not about the federal law. Tonight is about the rules that they're supposed to be voting on. The rules that I just showed you again in my hand. These are what we are supposed to be voting on the rules and what they're supposed to do to govern us in this city. And I believe if it gets passed tonight, other cities will follow us. They will, because we got tough rules. They may not like the whole package, but they'll take half the package and add their own. We are leaders. We are people that are looking out for other people that have medical problems, that need the marijuana, the plant, the substance that comes off the plant. It's been proven. And I said this before. The only thing that we cannot do in this state, cross the line. We cannot go to Arizona, because that's not yet. When they pass their laws, I believe that we'll be able to go to Arizona, just like we can go to Nevada and any other place that we can go to. But I don't believe we can do that yet. But we have the right in this state to have what we want as long as we vote. Just like anything. We don't allow our government or our governor to rule over us. The people have the last word. That's what we need to do. Respect our vote. Respect who we are. Respect that we also are Americans. So respect.
Thank you, Rafael. Hansel?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Just a couple of things. I'm glad we're not in a federal jurisdiction here, and that we're in the city jurisdiction relative to this topic and Prop 215 and Prop 64. So given that, I'm glad that we made it this far. Relative to the ordinance at hand, currently Santa Ana and some other cities have drawn fire for their merit-based application system. So essentially what I want to do is just ensure transparency, as the word was used earlier, in the process to ensure that the best operators are selected. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to deliberation. Okay, Councilor Gaiva.
Thank you. I'll be a little unorthodox here this evening. I asked the questions of the attorney. I was hoping he could answer them. I'm a little confused because I don't ever remember you explaining to the council, sharing with the council, and sharing with the public the difference between supremacy law and doctrine of preemption. So if you will just allow me a few moments, I'll try to educate the public so they understand where we really are and where my decisions will come from. Marijuana have this, they violate federal law. Nobody asked if we enforce it, but are we compliant to it? And for those reasons, I would have to say no. These are the following reasons. The Supremacy Clause and the doctrine of preemption by the Supremacy Clause is a clause within Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution which dictates that federal law is the supreme law of the land. This means that the judges in every state must follow the Constitution, laws, and treaties of the federal government in matters which are directly or indirectly within the government's control under the doctrine of preemption, which is based on the Supremacy Clause. Federal law preempts state law, even when the laws conflict. Thus, a federal court may require a state to stop certain behavior it believes interferes with it or is in conflict with federal law. But in the absence of federal law, or when a state law would provide more protections for consumers, employees, and other residents than that is available under existing law, state laws holds. For instance, federal anti-discrimination law does not include LGBTQ individuals, as an example for you. Therefore, as a protected class, therefore, an openly gay employee in Kansas can be lawfully fired simply for being gay, but an Illinois employee may sue under state law. So we have our second point. Here's Ethics Rule 3-210, whereas if a city attorney is aware of the pertaining statutes to the ethic rules as well as the incorporated paragraphs above, again, upon review of the statutes, it's self-explanatory. Ethics Rule 3-110, failing to act confidently, the statute is self-explanatory. Ethics Rule 5-220, suppression of that evidence. A member's client shall not suppress evidence of a legal obligation to address or produce. Nowhere in the documents that I've been studying have we been informed of this particular problem that we are running into. I would recommend highly that in light of this information I'm bringing forward, for you to do some research, because obviously the attorney said he wasn't aware of them and he didn't know them and memorize them. So I think it would be proper for us to postpone and delay until legal has an opportunity to review the information that I've just brought before me. Now, the last point I wish to make is when I was sworn in, and when all 5 of us were sworn in, we were sworn to follow the Constitution of the United States and the state of California. And since the Constitution of the government that I serve preempts California law, I'm now put in a liable position. And I don't think that that is something that any one of us on the 5 dais should be put in that position. So therefore, I'm asking you to postpone and relay until legal has an opportunity to review this, and I'll give you further remarks on the later part of that. So, that's to put it short and sweet. There's a lot more to it. I don't have more than 5 minutes according to our rules of order here on this thing. So I would ask that we delay it until legal has an opportunity to review the information. And that goes for G1 as well, but I can bring this all back up on G1 when we get to it. And then if not, then I have a legal obligation to my sworn oath to uphold federal law over California law.
If you'd like to respond.
Very briefly, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm not going to bore the council with the discourse on the conflicts.
This isn't a
and
debate or anything.
Just to one simple point, Councilmember Gaiba said that he researched all the documents available, and nowhere does it say that there's a conflict, that you have not been informed. First of all, you've received confidential memo from me. I'm not going to even discuss those. But let's go to the ordinance that's before you today. In the whereas in the ordinance, it says, City Council recognizes that the regulated and licensed commercial cannabis activity is permitted in the state of California, even though the Federal Controlled Substance Act, 21 U.S.C. Section 801, classifies marijuana as a Schedule I drug and makes it unlawful under federal law for any person to cultivate, manufacture, distribute, dispense, or possess with the intent to manufacture, distribute, or dispense marijuana. The dialogue's been ongoing. The Supreme Court has ducked the issue several times. The situation is as it is. But you've been well informed of both laws, and the item is before you proceed as you wish.
And we're governed by state law.
That is correct.
All right. There's any other buttons or anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I'll go ahead and close the deliberation and entertain a motion
So moved.
to approve the second reading. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Baca and seconded by Councilmember Cabrera. Okay, please vote. Okay, and it's approved 4-1. Okay, the second reading. And then we're gonna go to G1, which is actually kind of quite similar. It's just this one just had a few minor amendments. So I'll go ahead and have City Attorney, if you can go ahead and give us that little brief report.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. This is a cleanup item. You adopted an ordinance that governs
November,
the permitting
right?
process in December.
Or December.
What you just adopted is a land use ordinance. One of the sections of the land use ordinance adds a micro business into the permitted businesses in the city. That item was missing from the regulatory ordinance. It is added into the draft that's before you for introduction and first reading. In addition, in order to, again, provide the transparency that the speaker talked about, we have amended the appeal process. Decisions on issuance will be made by the chief financial officer. His decision will be reviewed by the city manager. And if there's an aggrieved party in that decision-making process, the appeal will come to you in the normal course for the final decision. Those are the changes. In addition to that, there are two resolutions which can be adopted in one separate motion, separate from the introduction of the ordinance. The first one mandates us to adopt and send to the state. It will allow the city to receive the results of the DOJ and the federal live scan background reports. The second one amends the application process, which you adopted recently, to add some additional language and subtract some that relates to the live scan background checks. They're just cleanup items. I'll gladly answer any questions. Today, we would like you to introduce by title only the ordinance, conduct the first reading, and schedule the second reading for the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, council questions of staff? Councilmember Gaiba?
Thank you. Thank you for reading that earlier part of that, but that wasn't really what I was mentioning. There was nothing in that ordinance or any of your discussion with us that, unless I'm really confused about this, about the supremacy clause and the result of what could be held accountable for council members who violate that in their votes and decisions. Now, I'm not sure I totally understand it because I'm not an attorney for sure, but what could be the consequences to a council member under these things since we're sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States?
There are no consequences that I'm aware of at this point in time. Again, this item is a completely separate issue from what's before the council currently.
Well, I couldn't find any statute that would individually provide us immunity. So that's just a comment I'd like to make on that. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, public comments?
Yes, sir. Rafael Burgueras,
Well, how
Roy
many speakers
Blackard,
first?
3, and Alfie Hernandez.
Thank you. Rafael, Roy, and then Alfie.
Good evening again, Mayor, council members, staff, residents, and guests. Well, Gaba got some of his answers. There's no accountability, so he ain't got to worry about that. He's confused, so he don't know if he's right or wrong. You know, he didn't get the memo. That's like Gaiba. He never gets the memo. He's the only one. I read it. You know, again, this is about rules. This is about rules for applicants and business license. This is about rules. The city attorney, the city manager, and the staff are not going to put us in liability. They're not going to do that. They did their homework. Yes, we do know that the Fed can come down on us anytime they want, but not just us. There's other cities and other states. So if they haven't cracked down on Colorado yet, okay, who started it all, and we're doing better with rules and laws, education, then we're ahead of the game. Yes, not everybody in this city is going to like the rules. I understand that. A lot of us are old-fashioned. We know the harm of it also. But we're learning that there's also good. Like cancer medicine. When they do their jobs and they experiment and they do things. This is why we're going to have test labs, micro labs. We'll be able to see things and to know that the product that comes out of this place, out of these buildings, are well maintained, natural. Okay, it is a plant that was given to us many, many years ago by the Creator. But people always find something to do with it that becomes naughty. And now we have regulations and laws to save their lives so they don't overdose or hurt someone else while they're driving. Because we have a lot of that going on in this country. They love to use that mental state mind of theirs to get out of jail. But you know what? I'm glad what the staff is doing, Moreno Valley. I say it again, as many times as I get up here. Sign up. Register yourself, your email, so you can get the information that they have, the mayor and the council, just like me. You can have the same information. You can read it for yourself. You can determine for yourself what's best. Okay? We voted. They won. I lost. They won.
Thank you, Rafael. Roy Blackard, followed by Alfie Hernandez. You could please line up.
I'm not going to get into the legal process because I'm not a lawyer, nor do I give legal advice, and I did not even stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I still have the question, and again, let's get it right because we always find out how we have to do it. You know, we always find time to do it a second time. Councilmember Baca at the last hearing mentioned the micro businesses and called them the Apple Store or the classiest of all the businesses presented. I find it very interesting that we're only restricting them to 2 out of 27. Again, I would say, as I brought out before, let the free market decide. You have enough control, authority to approve the businesses at hand. But what I see is a constriction of the free market. Because no matter how talented you all may be or staff may be, they're not going to beat the free market. Let's see what the applications come in. Let's see what the best type of businesses are, and then make the decision. Maybe cap the number, but don't determine or limit. I would hate to think that we would get a lot of regular retail outlets and only 2 of the classiest ones. So if you're going to pass this ordinance and you're going to bring this industry to the city of Moreno Valley, let's put in the policies and procedures that's going to bring us the best businesses we can get. It's really that simple, and it's all, you let the free market work. I would hope you would listen to some of the few that I know or I've had conversations with that do understand that free market principle. They do understand it. On some of them do on the staff. I would hope you would take more of that advice, because that is ultimately how you're going to win or lose that, not only on this issue, on every issue that you deal with. Then when it comes to deciding how vibrant, how this city can reverse the trend of where we've lost 30% purchasing power in the last 15 years. That has been based on a lot of decisions that have been made up on that dais. They need to change. The attitude needs to change all across the board. Everybody needs to have better communication, cooperation, if we're ever going to make this city great again.
Thank you. Next speaker is Alfie Hernandez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
Good evening, staff. Good evening, residents. I'd like to discuss 2 issues. Cannabis as a medicine, and secondly, how high startup costs will have an economic impact on your business owners as well as your community. Cannabis is a medicine. Let's see what WebMD has to say about this. Right now, as it exists, the FDA, which is a federal agency, as well as the American Medical Association, the FDA has approved Marinol, Casamit, Epidiolex, and Sativex. I don't see the federal government going after them. But yet these drugs are in the marketplace today. They are made of tetrahydrocannabinoid, THC, which is the intoxication compound in the medicine. Then let's talk about also how cannabis is an alternative medicine. Started out as a medicine for the poor, helps with people who have no economic medical insurance or economic ability to buy medicine, as well as for people who are on medicine, their current medicine is making them sick, and they have to rely on alternative medicine. So now let's talk about the high startup costs and economic effects that it will have on business owners as well as the community. As I said before, this started out as an alternative medicine, meaning that the people of low socioeconomic status are consuming this medicine. And last I checked, the median income in Moreno Valley is not very high to afford this high medicine, this high cost medicine, which the marketplace is expanding it more and more. Oakland has in place a program called the Equity Application Program, which is 50% of their applications are going toward people of low income, as well as veterans, as well as people with disabilities. It's been very successful in Oakland. It's helping. I'm a grassroots person. I believe in building the economy from the ground up. And I think this program helps and will help the people of Oakland in business ownership, as well as get people off of the drugs and get to work. So with that being said, thank you very much, you all, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Alfie. Okay, Madam Clerk?
No more speakers.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go to deliberation. Okay, Councilmember Gaiba?
So, what I had to say earlier hasn't changed. And, but what I would like to remind everybody, Harris actually put a halt on new licensing. One of our neighbors who originally had several, or at least one or two, medical marijuana facilities in their city, and now has been restricting licenses. Riverside just recently said they are not going to approve marijuana in that city. Spoke with a Hammett council member. They are fighting diligently not to bring it to their city. The unexpected consequences of what we would be doing here is something I don't think we're looking at that deeply. You know, two wrongs don't make one wrong right. We might have approved alcohol, and it might be used for medicinal purposes as well, because sometimes they say take a glass of wine for your stomach's sake or whatever you like, but uncalled consequences, how many people died at DUI drivers. State of California, and I'm sure Chief Kurlowitz would agree with me, we have no way of testing drivers to find out if they're under the influence. This is not medical. This is for recreational use. And so I would ask one more time that we postpone and delay until legal has an opportunity to review thoroughly the consequences. And I would like to find out, because I don't know, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm confused on issues, that's why you ask questions. Since I can't find any statutes that would individually provide us immunity as council members making these decisions, I'd like to find out what that statute is. If you have that, I'd sure appreciate it. So there are my deliberations for you. They aren't changing.
Just to a friendly, reminder to the council as well. This is an item from November or December, and this was an item, just to see if we were going to allow it in multiple industries, and then we voted on it, and so it's really a cleanup item. That was already voted on. The second reading was voted on, and all that, and there's obviously the application process, a little more detail that's amended in here. So as far as if we're going to allow it, and those kinds of things. We already voted on that. Also, just to answer one of the speaker's questions, I believe that we want all of these to be classy. We want all of these to be, state of the art, or like Mayor Pro Tem Baca said, an Apple store. That's why if you look at the regulations that we have in place, they require these businesses to have, the plans already in the application. They have to have everything there, and only the best of the best, that look really nice, have good curb appeal, in my opinion, should be approved. As far as, the light industrial, I think we've mentioned it, or I mentioned it at the last, I don't know if I mentioned it in my closing comments, but that's something that we can, look at, at a later time. I'm for it, allowing, light industrial, to allow it in light industrial in multiple zones of the city. I know that with the current recommendation that we had on the March 20th meeting, it was very limited, but my understanding it was because the staff actually reached out to several builders and developers to see if they were interested in doing or allowing this, and they weren't interested at the time. So they based their recommendation off of that. But maybe once it kicks off and it's booming, they might be interested in it, and then maybe they can come back to us. This could always be amended. Ordinance can always be amended. Resolutions can always be amended. So, yep. Okay. I'll go ahead and we're going to take two separate actions. I'll close the deliberation. One is to introduce the ordinance and conduct the first reading, amending Chapter 5.05 Commercial Cannabis Activity to add micro businesses and clarify appeal processes, and schedule the second reading and adoption for the next regular council meeting.
I motion that we approve staff's recommendation number 1.
Okay. I'll second the motion. Okay, so the ordinance is approved for 1, the cleanup item. And then we're going to do the next 2 resolutions together. So I'll entertain a motion by council to approve, adopt a resolution authorizing the city to receive life scan background reports for commercial cannabis business owners, employees, and operators, and amending the initial application processes for commercial cannabis business permits.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Baca and a second by Councilmember Marquez. Okay, and it's approved 4-1. And so what at the next council meeting, the only thing that will be coming is it's just the cleanup item for this ordinance. as
This
a
ordinance
second
will
reading.
come back to you for second reading and
Yeah,
adoption.
as a second reading. But the other item, the one of, the amount of permits, as far as, if we're gonna allow it, that left, the train left. That was,
You adopted that ordinance on consent.
yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, thank you. All right. Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Okay. Thank you and welcome back to the City Council meeting on April 3rd. We'll go ahead and start with reports. We'll have, we're on item H, March Joint Powers Commission, Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, I'm providing an update from the recent March Joint Powers Commission meeting that was held on March 28th. In that meeting, the commission learned that earthwork in the Heacock Channel has started. We authorized a request for proposals for the construction of the taxiway realignment project that will widen the taxiway at the south end of the runway to allow 747s to taxi behind parked 747s. And finally, we approved an amendment to the March Life Care DDA to assign responsibility for the schedule of performance to the Joint Powers Authority. And that concludes my report on the JPA.
Okay, thank you. We have Riverside County Transportation Commission, Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Okay, the RTC. At the Programs and Projects Committee meeting, the board recommended awarding numerous grants under the Specialized Transit Call for Projects. This is great news for Friends of Moreno Valley, as they will receive roughly $313,000 to continue to operate the popular MoVan. The MoVan provides transportation to the senior center and other destinations for non-emergency to the senior center and other destinations for non-emergency medical appointments for Moreno Valley senior citizens and disabled adults. And you can call 833-745-8454 for fares, eligibility, and additional details. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and have RTA report from Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Riverside Transit Agency will conduct free travel training on April 24th for customers who use a wheelchair or scooters. The training will take place at the Galleria at Tyler in Bay B as in boy from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The training is designed to build confidence for those customers with disabilities and who are afraid to travel on public transportation. If anyone has any questions, they may contact the RTA or call my office, and I give you some information or phone numbers. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I'll go ahead and give this report. This is the WRCOG. It's just really brief. The items covered on the April 2nd meeting include a legislative activities update for support of Assembly Bill 3027, directing the executive director to send a letter indicating WRCOG's support for AB 3027. An ongoing concern is that it is easy for any party to file a CEQA lawsuit to delay both public and private projects. And then there was also a regional streetlight program activities update. The acquisition, there was 11 jurisdictions that were approved under their agreement. Moreno Valley's agreement was executed September 19, 2017, so the next step is that it's going to go to the Public Utilities Commission for approval of the streetlight transfer. And then we have RCA, and then we also have a report for SCAG, and Councilor Argaiba will do both of those.
Thank you very much. First of all, we in closed session acquired 2 pieces of property out in Murrieta for some critical junctures on the conservation corridors that are approved. We've also reached almost 60,000 acres, very short, but with the extra properties that were acquired, we're almost up to 60,000 acres, which is probably a little more than a third, closing in on a half of the total amount that we were going to be using or be needing to finish the projects. The fee collection is very important because in order to buy the properties, you need the fees. So as of, I think it's January here, January 2018, the amount remitted is $1,349,004. There were a couple of 26,403 exceptions and fee credits. That's kind of boring stuff, but if you want to read it in detail, then I have a link in my bio. It'll take you straight to the agenda, and then you can look at past agendas. The fiscal year second quarter financial report was out, and if you want to know the details of that, you can go and get that as well. A lot of details in financial reporting. The fiscal year 2018 second quarter financial report is in the form of a PowerPoint. And so if you go to that site, you can review that for yourself. Numbers will bore all of us except for Marshall. So he'd love to probably peruse those numbers and put those together. So we've done well. It's outlined, every city is outlined in there of their monies they've paid, acquisitions. I'll pull out Moreno Valley's just for the fun of it. Land acquisitions, and this is telling, by the way. Moreno Valley's land acquisitions is $1,075,082, which is roughly 18% of most of the acquisition dollars that went in, which shows that Moreno Valley is actually doing a lot more in residential and commercial than any of the other cities in the entire region. So that's kind of that kind of reinforces the fact that we're doing very well financially in our areas. So that's about it for you. I don't want to bore you with any of that, but go to the link, go to my bio, click on the RCA link, and it'll take you to the agenda. And we also had forget the name of it, but it was a hawk, the second largest hawk, and it's one of only 2 that has feathers actually on it. I forget this. It starts with an F, and I didn't write it down. So, but you can look that up as the species of the month, and they have the PowerPoint on it for all you educators out there that want to take the PowerPoint. You can download it for yourself, take it to your classroom, and always continue to give that information to the young people. Okay, so that's that. And then we have, get this back. I apologize. This one's going to run away from me. Get it. All my stuff is in iBooks, and if I don't get the iBooks out right, I'm not going to get it. There we go. All right, so this Thursday I go down to LA for our monthly SCAG meeting, and that's with the Regional Council and the Transportation Committee. I think Rick Zanzemeyer's actually gone with me at one time and attended. It's probably not a bad thing for people who are interested in regional. And again, to remind you, SCAG is responsible for 191 cities and 6 counties. And so we're coming up in May. We're going to be having the annual conference that we have. So what I was doing just the other day, Monday, is that I'm also on several subcommittees, and this one was the bylaws subcommittee. And so during that bylaws subcommittee, we were reviewing the rest of our bylaws and getting them ready for the special meeting. And those bylaws, and we also fixed up our new manual and have some outstanding articles to work on, but it's a good meeting. I usually go to the Riverside office and do teleconference from there rather than go down to Los Angeles. So this one is, I gotta go all the way over. Okay, so this is the manual that we just polished up this past week. It was the Regional Council Policy Manual that has the bylaws and the information in it, and you're welcome to go online again to SCAG, push the button on my bio, and it'll take you there and you can review that. And these will be some of the changes that we put in the bylaws on our regional meeting that we had. So that would be about it. Thank you.
Okay. We have, I believe that was the last one there, so we'll go to City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, just a few items tonight for you. First, bear with me, I'm going to flip to the page here. First, I'd like to, the council's been very gracious in thanking staff for all their work on the cannabis ordinance project, and I would like to publicly thank our planning team. A number of folks in that planning division really came together and were creative and worked very diligently to bring you the ordinances that you have approved to regulate commercial cannabis activities in our community. I'd also like to publicly thank a few of my colleagues here tonight. These folks really rolled up their sleeves and spent a lot of time and focused their energy on bringing you these ordinances. So I'd like to publicly thank Martin, Alan, Marshall, and Rick for all their work and leadership. Secondly, I feel, again, duty-bound to set the record straight on this council's track record for funding public safety services in our community. I'll just hit a few bullet points. First off, the city's budget for police services has increased from approximately $37.9 million in 2013 to approximately $44.5 million in the fiscal year that will begin in just a few months. The council also invested more than $2 million in a state-of-the-art public safety camera system, and that system is more extensive than any system in our region. It serves as a very effective force multiplier to help our police officers both deter crime and solve crimes. And that tool has helped our police literally solve hundreds of cases that have affected quality of life in our community. Over the past several years, the council has actually added police officers and firefighters to serve our residents. On the police side, you have directed funding to increase services in programs such as patrol, investigations, problem-oriented policing, special enforcement teams, and those include burglary and robbery suppression, narcotics enforcement, and gang enforcement. You have increased the dedicated patrol in the city's business corridor along Sunnymead. You've enhanced traffic services as well as community services. And just a few quick stats in the current budget. In the year, the 17-18 budget year, the council reduced 5 non-sworn positions, basically eliminated those, to increase sworn by adding 2 deputy sheriffs, 2 officers to patrol our community. The 18-19 budget will increase $2.6 million just on the police side. On fire, in the 17-18 budget year, you increased the budget by $1.1 million, added 6 positions, and the city's first medical squad to safeguard lives in our community every day. The 18-19 budget that you have already approved, that takes effect in a few months, increases fire spending by $3.4 million. Your record speaks for itself. Your commitment to public safety is well documented, and we thank you for your clear direction on that. The last item I bring to you tonight is really for benefit of those residents who may not have tuned in to the council's special presentation session, where our council recognized Animal Care and Control Week. If folks weren't able to see that, I ask them, please take a look at the session on the website. to learn about what their city is doing to save the lives of thousands of pets each year. Under the council's leadership and your commitment to our community, pets are being saved. Our animal services team placed more than 4,000 pets in lifelong loving homes in 2017 alone. That concludes my report this evening. Thank you.
City Attorney's report.
Thank you very much. Briefly, as you
applause
know,
over
I think, yeah. I'll be going on a brief vacation, and our staff has the office covered in case you need anything. Secondly, Councilmember Gaiba, I would strongly encourage you to meet with me. I meet with all the council members individually, and we discuss the agenda and any issues or questions we have. You have not afforded me that opportunity, and I think things would go a lot better for you if you did that. Thank you.
All right. And, okay, so that was that one. All right, this brings us to our reports and comments from council members who did not speak earlier. Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, the first thing I want to do is thank our staff again for a great job you've been doing. This goes from the top executive branch down to the lowest employee rating in the city. The staff here, employees, have done a great job working with the council to accomplish many things. Now we're looking at homelessness, the problems that these homeless individuals are creating in our city, and staff has been on it. I pick up the phone, and within half an hour to an hour, our staff is there at the location. Tom, police chief, Rick, you guys jump right to it, and I really thank you guys for your quick response and your dedication to the city. Thank you very much on that. My business roundtable we had this week, I had a lot of business owners come out. It was very educational. Business owners shared their concerns, and they also talked among each other. And I want to thank Mike and your staff for putting it on. Pizza was great, but like I told you, Mike, we need another restaurant out on the east end of town. So you got to bring in another restaurant so next year I can have it in a bigger place and have more people. We're limited on what the invitees to come out because it's a small place, but we just don't have the restaurants on the east end of town. And I'm going to get after you, Mike. We got to get some businesses in here too. Secondly is I attended that community police zone 1 and 2. Chief, you did a great job, as the speaker says. I was very impressed, very impressed. You stuck in there and you knew the answers to the questions. You didn't stutter, you didn't, I'll get back with you. You got out there and you attacked each one of them, and I want to thank you for that. There's stuff that I learned that I didn't know about the police department, but like I said, it was educational, not only for me, but I believe many people. And I can't wait till the next one, hopefully in District 3. Well, part of this was in District 3, but it was just a bit of it. But with the turnout we had, you wouldn't know, that everybody was there. People out of the zones were there. And again, thank you, Chief, for a well commended job there, and your staff too, Officer Brooks and all your other officers there. Thank you very much. I was at the hospital ribbon cutting. It actually wasn't a ribbon cutting. It was a shovel cutting, digging, whatever they call it. What do they call it? Groundbreaking. They set up a little area. They put dirt in there for us with our shovels, and that was nice. Being able to participate in that groundbreaking ceremonies for the hospital. It's not only going to benefit Moreno Valley residents. It's going to benefit the whole region. And this is, people used to refer to it as a general hospital. And back in my days, a general hospital was, you don't want to go to the general hospital for medical aid. You stay away from there. But it's this day and age, technology's changed. This hospital has changed. And believe me, if you go there one time, you're going to think it's a private hospital because it's just completely different. They're expanding, and I can't wait till this is completed because, like I said, it's going to benefit the whole region. The whole region. So that turned out pretty good. My colleagues, Cabrera and Gaba, were there, and appreciate them showing up. And I want to just briefly talk on the cannabis medical usage. When this first was presented to us, I was against it. I'm against any type of drug, usage of a drug. But under the circumstances when it was presented to me, I knew about the marijuana medical part of it, but not the recreational. I did a little research, and you know, I was still against it. I still didn't want the city to get in that type of business. So I would have my doubts about it. But after speaking to residents in District 3, a lot of them would say, well, you know, it's a profit-making thing for revenue, more money coming into the city. Well, it's not really that. It's going to take several years before that happens. But their concern was, we voted for it. Why are you against it now? Why are you against it? So I did the research, and I'm still against the recreational usage, but I'm for the medical part of it because it has helped many sick individuals. And when I say sick, meaning treatment-wise, a lot of your veterans that are PTSD are on that usage, and I can see the effect on the medical part. But I will never be 100% able to accept it as a recreational drug, as the federal government says, illegal drug. But that's here or there. If the federal government want to step in, then let them step in. But at this time and date, let's get on with it. Let's start issuing permits and let's start using it. I mean, not using it, but selling it. And we all got to use it at one time or another. I think that the old saying is, never mind, I'm not going to go back then. Anyways, I'm referring back to my old military days. You know, a pack of cigarettes wasn't a pack of cigarettes. It was something else, but that's here or there now. I attended the vet facility, homeless vet facility grand opening on Airbase. Fantastic. You know, looking at these rooms, and as one of the speakers says, you know, you've seen that gentleman sitting back in his lounge chair looking at TV. That gentleman was a homeless person. He didn't know what he was going to do until he got a hold of the U.S. Vets organization, and you could see what the results. They changed his life, and it's changing many other veterans' lives. I've always believed that there should be no veteran be homeless in this country, not one. And if we can accomplish that, oh man, that's a dream come true for me. So that was a great event they had. The hotels they're living in now, it's a temporary hotels, rooms. Once they get organized and get back on their feet, then they move on. So it's not a permanent residence for these homeless vets. It's just something to get them started, get them back into a job, and hopefully they can continue to go from there. Excuse me. Air show this weekend. 100 years of medical. Here I'm thinking of medical still. 100 years of. I know, but I smoke. Maybe I need some. I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, anybody got any? No, that's okay. The air show, 100 years of military presence here in Moreno Valley. I encourage all the residents, get your suntan lotion out, get your big hats, your umbrellas, get your ice coolers filled up, water. I prefer water. Come on out to the air show. It's going to be great. Saturday and Sunday. For you golfers, we have a tournament this Thursday? Thursday. And it's the fundraiser to support the air show. If you play golf and you want to come on out to Old General Golf Course by the cemetery. It starts at 7 o'clock. Come on out, and I know there's openings out there, and come out and play golf and enjoy yourself and spend your money out there for a good cause. Last but least, we had some speakers here talking about we all have to work together. And what upsets me the most to hear is when we have a speaker up here that comes up here and degrades, belittles us up here on the dais. That's, I understand, you know, we got thick blood up here, but have a little respect for us up here. You know, you have individuals come up here, especially if they're on a commission, they're a commissioner for the city, and to belittle one of us up here, that's no respect. I'm asking everybody out there, work together, work together. We're up here to make this city what it should be, and I think we're on our way to do that. But don't come up here and belittle one of us up here for trying. That's all I ask. We're trying, don't criticize us, that's all I ask. And lastly, I want to say Angels baseball is back in town. I could have been there tonight watching the game, but I chose to be here. But baseball season's back, so let's support our local team, the Angels, and the Ducks are and the Ducks are in the playoff mode. So support the Anaheim Ducks. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gaiba?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. Well, we've all done Dave and I particularly have been fairly busy. I'll just kind of repeat that. University health system groundbreaking. You know, I'm honored to have been involved with both sets of buildings and groundbreaking from the very beginning after I got elected. So to be there and see the continued growth of what we're putting together makes that medical corridor idea and concept really start to grow better for us all. So I'm excited about that. I went to the AMOC ribbon cutting, Air Marine Operational Control Center over there. And for those of you who don't really know, that facility was built on what used to be Moreno Valley Parkland. And it took us a while, but we finally got the land basically sold back, swapped back, so that AMOC could build a brand new building over there. It's the best kept secret in Moreno Valley. It's the best kept secret in the whole United States, because at that AMOC is where they monitor the entire United States, both air and marine, for any invaders, so they can scramble jets or scramble anything they need to do that, advise across the entire United States. That's where it all happens. And if you've never had a tour of it or anything, maybe we can try to find some arrangement to get that taken care of for you. Talk to Colonel Berger. Maybe he can help us out. Also, at that same day was Director Crowder's retirement, 10 years of leading that team and bringing that new facility to fruition. It was a very touching retirement done in the typical governmental style, especially in the police and armed forces. I have never seen in my entire life of retirement so many people that really appreciated that man, showed a lot of love for him for what he's done and how he's handled things. It was very touching. I didn't know him very well, but I wished I had after I watched the retirement. I was, we went to the Welcome Home Vietnam Vets at the memorial. I did on the 24th. First, I was over at the cemetery, and then we went over to the museum. I've done that every year. I myself, I know David is a Viet. There's a difference. David was in-country vet of Vietnam. I'm in CONUS vet. In other words, I was in country, but we're both Vietnam vets, and I'm a Vietnam era vet. So it's always good to go to these welcome homes. It's nice to see the Vietnam vets be treated kindly. I hope a lot of you had a very peace-filled Easter from Palm Sunday on. It's a wonderful time of year. Let me see what we got. The SCAG had its open house down in Los Angeles, and I'm just sorry, Rick, I didn't get that information to you. You could have gone down there to see the new building and the new facility, because you know a lot of the folks down there, I think, anyway. Got a lot of feedback, Chief, from a lot of the community on the zoning meeting, and they're very appreciative of the meeting there. I myself was unable to attend, but I asked Dave to give me feedback, and then from some of the community members, and they were very appreciative of the meeting there. So I just wanted to give you that big, what do we say in the Navy, Michael? Bravo Zulu? A BZ, big BZ, right? Do they do it in the Marine Corps too? The March Veterans Village. You know what? I'm honored and proud. When I was on the JPA, we're the ones that actually leased that land to the Coachella Valley and the U.S. vets for $1 a year. And that made a big difference for them being able to build that facility there. Now, they've only got the 2 major buildings constructed, but they've got probably 90% of the money to build the 3rd building up in front. The men's single units are 90% full, and then the family units have about 22 families in it. That's right, there's a family unit there too. And the back playground, if you guys remember, both you and Mr. Cabrera, that's where we had the ribbon cutting, was in the children's playground area. So it was a very nice facility. If you guys get an opportunity, it's off of Riverside Drive, but where the commissary and exchange is, you can't miss it. It's a beautiful complex, and if you make arrangements with them, they'll give you a tour of the facility too. Okay, so I also want to shout out, I don't think Steve is here anymore, but a year ago, back in July or so, my wife and I had the opportunity to notice a little tiny 3-month-old feral cat in our backyard. I went off to Michigan for the Sea Cadets. By the time I come back, it took her 3 weeks to coax that cat into the house, feed it, take it, get it fixed. But then she needed a friend for it. So he was fixed. So what we did is we went to Whisker Wednesdays. So our little girl cat, Misty, was picked up on a Whisker Wednesdays for $5, got the chipping, she got fixed, everything for $5. So folks, if you want a wonderful little kitty, go to that Whisker Wednesday, very inexpensive. And this little gal is just sweet as can be. And being a shelter cat, she's 180 out from my other cat. So he's an all-meat eater and a hunter, and he brings her lizards to play in the house because she doesn't know how to catch them herself. So we have to keep picking up the lizards and the finches, and he even got a hummingbird and taking them outside. So another piece of information I do want to share with all of you is this is out, and again, I always like to thank Marshall when I was on Finance Subcommittee and we began working on these projects to help educate and inform the public. And I think, again, this one the city manager brought to me, and I appreciate that. This is the bonded debt program ended June 30th, 2017. These are made for you to be able to review the information simply. It's a good education tool for those who care about what's going on. And last but not least, this is when I can get I would like to request for us maybe to have on the council either as a study session or action item on the sanctuary law. A lot of the cities locally, even I think Murrieta is looking at it. We know that Escondido, the mayor, it was an article, sanctuary law. The problem is as with the marijuana law, we're not in compliance with the state's laws. So the difference with this one is that actually many of the cities are actually doing what they call a legal brief to be on the side of the federal instead of the side of the state. So I think Martin, you know what I'm talking about here, right? So
I do.
This would be a wonderful opportunity for us to look into that, to be on the proper side of the fence. And there are many reasons for that, because our law enforcement officers are caught between that rock and a hard spot for the same reason I felt I'm caught between a rock and a hard spot, taking that oath. So anyway, I don't know whether you can do that, if anybody wants to do it here, or if the mayor wants to chat about it and put that on the agenda. I would like that item agendized. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Is there any interest by the council? Like, I'm not interested. Okay. I'll go ahead and just do my report here. Oh, whoops. Councilmember Cabrera? Yes.
Yeah, I just, for the last thing that Councilmember Gabas said, I would feel it would be more appropriate, maybe better for you to look into that, and then maybe bring that back. But for now, just individually outside of this, look into that. For my report, just a couple things here. The 100th anniversary is coming up. I don't want to repeat too many things that have already been said, but that is coming up here on the 7th. It's going to be a huge event. The new monuments that went up, I don't know if they're completed yet. I'll probably drive by there on the way out of here, but thank you to everyone who's been working on that. I saw the city workers out there, doing their craft, and those are going to look really nice, not just for the event, but for years and hopefully decades. So thank you to everyone who was involved in that. Let's see. Also, I want to remind everyone about the food pantry at our at my home church, 13793 Redlands Boulevard. We do a food pantry every first and third Saturday of the month. We have a ton of food. If you know any folks who are in need, all they need is a valid ID. And we have food from Costco, Aldi. We have really, really good, high-quality food. So all they need is an ID. We don't ask for anything. So send them our way, and we'll give them a big bag of food. Let's see. Also, the U.S. Vets ribbon cutting. I was there as well. Very beautiful facility. I took a tour. It was about 2 months ago, but really, really nice apartments. And although I was not a part of the construction of it, now I sit on the March JPC. But I was really happy when Marcus from the U.S. Vets facility, he helps organize the vets to get into the program and everything. Marcus showed up to our food pantry with 2 vans full of veterans from the facility to pick up food. So when I saw them show up in the 2 vans that morning, I got really, really happy. So thank you to Marcus and Greg and everyone else out there who helps our veterans at the facility. Let's see. Also, the Riverside University Health System groundbreaking. I learned that it's been around in a couple different locations for 125 years. When I heard that, I was amazed. 125 years. It's been around longer than the base. That's a really long time. And they are doing the expansion. They're going to have a bridge. It's going to look really nice off of Cactus. If you drive by there, you'll see the construction. And also, I was able to take a tour of the current facility. I was able to walk around everywhere, and I came across again they on the second level, I believe, is where all the correctional officers are. They have state prisoners and county prisoners that go there, and I love having those conversations with like the deputies, and because they see a lot of things. They're in there doing their job, but they see a lot of things and encounter a lot of things that we don't. The electeds. And one thing that I always stress, you can ask staff, is communication. Communication between us and also everyone else. For example, the correctional officers who are in there, and they're able to tell us their needs, what we need. And one of the things that I can't remember his name, but he mentioned mental health. He said a vast majority of the people who are in state prisons and that they deal with is mental health. They have mental health problems, and basically our prisons have become asylums, mental asylums, and that's not what they're supposed to be. So I think we're looking into all these things as government, federal, state, local government, and we just need to keep moving in that direction to address mental health, because that also goes into homelessness and a lot of other things, that are happening in our country. So just wanted to mention that. Also, I want to thank Fire Chief Ahmad. Like Rafael mentioned earlier, the residents here have a lot of respect, and I saw it just the other day as well on multiple occasions. But when the fire truck is coming, everyone pulls over to the side. And I love seeing I love when I'm driving out and I see the fire truck responding or going back to its home, and I see the American flag just waving in the back. I love seeing that. So thank you, Chief, for everything you guys do out there. Also, the zone meeting. Also want to thank Police Chief Kerlowitz. You handled that flawlessly. It was amazing. The turnout, the room was full. There were people standing around. I mean, it was completely full, and a lot of good questions were answered, asked and answered. So that went really, really well. Hopefully, I would like to see that Zone 3 and 4 meeting happen sometime in the future. I'm sure you'll be working on that. And at the meeting, there was actually one young gentleman who got everyone's attention. 17-year-old, 16, 17-year-old junior from Rancho Verde High School stood up and asked a couple of questions, and everyone was kind of in awe when he spoke. And I love seeing that. The young guys are coming out and they're getting more involved, and you saw that with March for Our Lives on March 24th. In Washington, D.C., they were here in Riverside County. Everywhere, the youth, the high school kids, the college kids, even middle school kids, they're all uniting, and they're all organizing, and they're all moving. And there's a lot of us out there. And when I was in Sacramento about 2 weeks ago, we learned that Latinos and the youth are the two lowest in terms of demographics who register to vote. And you're going to see that number go up, especially for youth. With everything that's going on right now, more youth are going to go out, register to vote, and in this November, they're going to be a major part of the elections and the outcomes that are going to happen. So I'm just really glad to see that our youth are uniting, and I think we need more leadership in all areas, but specifically also in this generation. And I'm only one person. Like, I'm a voice. I get to sit up here on the dais and actually, have that perspective, that closer point of view from the youth. But in our generation, the millennials and the ones who are coming after the millennials, we need real, true leadership who can teach nonviolence and peaceful protesting. And because when I was in Sacramento, I saw the unfortunate accident that happened with the police and a 22 or 23-year-old, and Black Lives Matter activists were marching onto the freeway, but they marched into the middle of the freeway, started getting rowdy with the cars and all that kind of stuff. And you don't want to do that. You need to be peaceful, nonviolent, protesting. So just a call for more leadership, and I'm glad that I'm able to be here on the dais and speak up for the youth as well. Second to last, cannabis. I also want to speak briefly on that one. I feel that legalizing putting the ordinance in place was the correct thing to do, not just for the city, for the state. I feel that the whole country should move in this direction. It should not be a Schedule I narcotic, and it does have medicinal benefits. But on the recreational side, I also agree, and I think most of us here can agree, when it comes to drugs in general, and alcohol is a drug as well as all the pills that people pop and opioids that people overdose on every single year. Those are all drugs. They are abused. You can overdose on alcohol. So it is a drug. Keep that in mind. But as far as the cannabis, now that it is legalized here in the state and now in our city, we also need to put emphasis on educating people not just on cannabis, but on addictions in general. Addictions are not just for substances like alcohol, cannabis, heroin, whatever. Addictions can also be with television, eating unhealthily, very bad habits. Those are all addictions. And I was watching a TED Talk a few weeks ago, and it was about addictions. And if you do some research on Portugal and the Netherlands and what they've done and what we've learned from that, the TED Talk, the presenter was one of the things that he mentioned was a study back in the Vietnam War. A lot of the soldiers who were over in Vietnam were using heroin. And apparently, they were studying this. It was a study that was being done. When those soldiers came back to the United States, when they came home, it was over 90% of them who didn't have any kind of withdrawals or anything. They were able to just stop using the heroin. And what they found was that when they came back home to healthy relationships, to wives and children and their homes. And that was the point that this presenter in the TED Talk was trying to make. When it comes to addictions, whether it's alcohol or television or eating junk food every day, it's because people don't have healthy relationships. It's because they don't have people, humans who they can talk to in their life. They find and create these bonds with substances or things that become very unhealthy, and it leads down this spiral. So we really have to start looking at addiction in a different way. And that's just what I wanted to share here. And lastly, I just want to share a quote from Martin Luther King, and this kind of goes with all the youth and just in general, our whole country. Martin Luther King said that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to say thank you to the staff and to the residents of District 1 for a very successful coffee and conversation event that I had at Berry Bean on Saturday. We had a lot of people there, and we had really good pastries and hot coffee, and it was a very well-attended event, and lots of people from District 1 came out. And I just want to say thank you, Pat, our city clerk, for attending. And secondly, we do have the air show this weekend, so please be patient. We'll have street closures on both days. You can go online and see which streets will be closed. And on the 14th of this month, we'll have the Moreno Valley Public Safety Expo. And I encourage everyone that's a resident of Moreno Valley, bring your friends, your family from out of town and attend this event. And more than anything, I encourage you to please bring the youth, bring your kids, teach them about public safety, teach them, what our police chief does, our fire chief, and the equipment that's involved in keeping our community safe. It's a good event, and every year it grows and grows. So I know that this year's will be a very well-attended event. As far as questions on cannabis, today's agenda items, one was the second reading, and we went through all that on March the 20th, and then today we updated the permitted uses as well. So it was done, and we've had so many conversations with our city manager and especially with our city attorney, because I had the same concerns regarding federal law and state law and voting. Do we have to put it out to the voters, et cetera? And we will have a ballot initiative in November for the taxation, so that's still coming. But as far as our staff being readily available and knowledgeable, because what do we know? We don't know anything about this industry. It's a very new industry. So we depend on their expertise and their professionalism in making sure that we're aware of what's before us. And as you know, the agendas are posted 5 days before our meeting. So on Thursday, they're there, and all the supporting documentation is there for the public to read. And I know that the people that come to these meetings are prepared because they're questioning what we have on the website. So if you have any more questions, please go to our website, moval.org, and look for our cannabis information, because everything is there, every single thing. So if you have any questions, the application process, it's there. And we can't be more transparent than that. As far as the presentation for our Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week, but you know what? We appreciate this department all year long, every single day. And I go there regularly. I'm not going to tell you how many cats and dogs I've adopted from there and how many are at home, but they've brought a lot of joy and comfort to my grandchildren. And they're babies, I'd rather them have, animals than real kids, tell you the truth. But they're such loving animals, and the cats, they're all over the place, and the puppies, they grow up to be beasts, but we love them. And I want to say thank you again to Steve Fries for the department he runs, and for the caring staff that's there that does everything they can to save the animals, to place the animals, to work with rescues, to work with foster parents that are out there. So if you have time and energy and space and you want to foster some kittens and puppies, please step up, because it's healthier for them to be in your home rather than at the animal shelter. And there's a lot of opportunities for volunteering too. And we have a lot of events out in the community where you can come and adopt a puppy. You could see them there. There's photographs. And again, go to our website, because we advertise as much as we can to get these animals out to the community. So thank you very much, and have a nice weekend, and enjoy the air show.
Thank you. Wanted to just mention as well about the animal shelter. They do a great job, our animal services department, and I'm really thankful for all that they do in honoring them with this proclamation. I also want to thank our staff as well. There was actually a resident, Tricia, I think that was her name, and I forgot her last name, but she actually emailed me, messaged me, about Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd. So I forwarded that to staff, and right away we were able to get the M lit blue. And, it was really powerful, not only to, those parents that have kids with autism, but also with me too, because I have students, some of my students with autism. So that was really touching. Thank you. I also want to thank the police chief, David, as well. I've gotten a lot of praise today, but it's well-deserved, because I heard from many residents and some of our staff members that were there as well, that you were able to tackle several questions and provide appropriate responses and in all, remain calm. And I know, that could be difficult to do, sometimes, in that type of setting, especially where there's live questions like that, and then also the circumstances as well, in relation to the recent shooting and all that. So that takes a lot of leadership. I also want to remind the public that we have increased public safety, like the city manager mentioned, since 2013, from $37 million to $44 million. We've added more programs. We have the officer-friendly program now. We also, visiting the businesses and helping the businesses. We also have the commercial unit as well. And we've also added about $3.4 million to our fire department. And last year, we put more boots on the ground as well. I also want to thank the staff for allocating the dollars for the Mailbox initiative. I think that's really, really important. A lot of residents have been very frustrated with that. And so I think, putting these cameras will act as a deterrent, and some of the other innovative strategies that we're going to be doing as well. So I want to thank you for that. I also attended the Springtastic event last week, and it was a success. I think the turnout was a lot better than last year. We had rock climbing, we had jumpers for the kids, and the children were really excited, and I even had a family come up to me and just tell me how thankful they were, to have this all for free. And so, they were really happy that, to live in Moreno Valley. So there's a lot of good things that are happening in our city. And I also held the telephone town hall last week, which was also a success. We had thousands of residents participating, and it's really amazing. When I first did the telephone town hall, I didn't really think many people were going to participate, but then we started to get thousands and thousands of residents participating. And I think it's because they're in the comfort of their home, so they can ask any question. The questions range from homeless to streets to crime to all sorts of questions, and we were able to address those. So I want to thank the staff as well for your support. And then I also want to encourage everyone out in the audience, and then everyone that's watching on TV, to attend the public safety to help spread the word. We've put some banners throughout the city, but it really helps, like, if you can spread the word and just go out there and show your support. And with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn tonight at 8:10 p.m.